Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? The anger at Tucker Carlson. The anger at Tucker Carlson is unreal. Well, I'm not going to say it's unreal. Kind of think it's kind of expected. This stuff that they're trying to do because they're mad. Tucker Carlson exposed the radical left, those in DC, and showed the world that they lied. They are terrified of Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson today is the Rush Limbaugh of our time. Let me say that one more time. Tucker Carlson is the Rush Limbaugh of our time. That's who he is. They do not want another Rush Limbaugh. The radical left was terrified of Rush Limbaugh because, yes, the 2009, 2010 Tea Party was powerful. But let's not underestimate the power of one of the people that was behind it. That was Rush Limbaugh. Jamal, I didn't know Rush Limbaugh encouraged, informed, and notified people of what was going on when it came to Barack Obama and Obamacare. Many Republicans was not going to push it back. They were going to roll over and accept whatever Obama was going to do. They was going to do that. The voice of the base was Rush Limbaugh. Now, as we went on, Donald Trump arose. Donald Trump was the base politician. Rush Limbaugh died, and Democrats went on an all-out power grab. There was nothing stopping them. There was absolutely nothing stopping them. I don't play with people. Um, you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now. All of you who want to come here and play games, Jamal, we just make a game, put a little humor. I'm gonna start banning you. I'm not playing around with you no more. They were terrified of Rush Limbaugh. They was terrified of Rush Limbaugh. If Rush Limbaugh was still alive today, there would be consequences for what the Democrat Party is doing. Donald Trump wouldn't be out there fighting so much because Rush Limbaugh will have that 3 hours. Clay and what's that other guy named? What's that guy named? Clay and Buck are horrible. Those two cannot fill Rush Limbaugh's shoes. I tried listening to Clay and Buck. I'm sorry. 12 to 3 o'clock is Rush Limbaugh time. 12 to 3 o'clock is Rush Limbaugh time. I do not know why they didn't give it anyway to what's the British guy who used to host for Rush? They should have gave it to him. Because Clay and Buck, I'm sorry, I've tried listening to them. Mark Stein, that's his name, Mark Stein. Mark Stein. Mark Stein, that's who it was, Mark Stein. That's who it is, Mark Stein. Some people said Dan Bongino is real good. I gotta check Dan. I listen. I usually catch Dan Bongino afterwards. But this is what they don't want. They do not want another Rush Limbaugh, and Tucker Carlson right now is it. They are coming after Tucker Carlson, and let me say this. Everybody's talking about how Tucker is editing or selective editing, but notice how CNN, MSNBC, ABC, The View, everybody else is selectively editing what Old Dominion is saying. I want to know why is Old Dominion releasing emails and text messages from Fox News toward each other. How is that helping your case if you're not trying to destroy them? And I guess that's why Fox News isn't backing down. Fox News is not backing down. Fox News is not backing down to them. They done pissed Rupert Murdoch off. Old Dominion now release some text messaging. Everybody on CNN and MSNBC running with the hands all up. Ooh, Tucker Carlson, he hates Donald Trump. Hello, Jungle Queen. Hello, Lisa Pretty over there on Mine Jamal Live. Tucker Carlson, he really hates Donald Trump. Why don't you show us all the message and what was said? The reason they hate Tucker Carlson is because Tucker Carlson showed everybody what was the purpose of January the 6th. It was to reestablish establishment Republicans and liberal progressive Democrats. As we see, they both walk hand in hand. Now, some people may not like to hear what I'm about to say, but I got to say it. Kevin McCarthy stood his ground. Kevin McCarthy stood his ground and didn't back down. Do you know what I think Kevin McCarthy is trying to do? Kevin McCarthy is trying to reestablish the establishment Republicans back to the base. There are some who want the establishment Republicans back in power, back in some forms of leadership, and say MAGA can't do it all. You need us. But what Kevin McCarthy is doing, Kevin McCarthy is saying, you know what? I'm not MAGA. But what I want you to do is give us the trust to make sure we'll do it right by you. That is what Kevin McCarthy is doing, and it is brilliant. Kevin McCarthy is like Republicans right when Ronald Reagan won. Ronald Reagan was a conservative. However, he had some Republicans who weren't conservative, but they were Republicans. And they backed Ronald Reagan. So what Kevin McCarthy is trying to do, Kevin McCarthy is paving the way for Republicans who keep their word to the base. He is trying to reestablish the establishment Republicans, but trustworthy. Mitch McConnell got to go. Mitt Romney. Now, you have some rhinos that Kevin McCarthy knows in order to unite the Republican Party. That is what Kevin McCarthy is trying to do. Kevin McCarthy is trying to unite the Republican Party, establishment and MAGA. And he's doing a good job. The reason why he listened to Marjorie Taylor Greene and all them and haven't really and kept his promises is because he wants to be the person who saved the Republican Party, not Donald Trump. He wants to be the one to do it. And the capitulations he's done is what you would expect from a strong Republican. That's what a strong Republican look like. And you know what? A lot of people may not like it, but he's doing a good job. He is doing, hello, Steve Simpson. He's doing a great, great job. Now, people are mad at Tucker because Tucker Carlson has now exposed January 6th and those who benefited from January 6th. He's exposed them. Nobody wanted to relitigate January the 6th. Well, now you have to. The lawyer for Jacob Chansley, was on Tucker Carlson tonight. He said he never got that footage. He never got the footage so he could properly instruct his client. So now you have grounds for an appeal. That is grounds for an appeal. And all those people now who are in the county jail, the jail up in DC, that dungeon, their attorneys are now looking at this. Their attorneys now can go in there and say, what else have you hidden from the American people? Now, everybody know Washington, D.C. is corrupt. And let me say this, I don't mean the politicians, I'm talking about the people. The people of Washington, D.C. are corrupt. The people of Washington, D.C. are willing to be Democrat hatchetmen. The people up there. The people of Washington, D.C. I've said it before, Democrats are not your fellow Americans. Democrats will look at a Republican being abused and be silent. Matter of fact, they may join in on the abuse. And that's what we have seen about January the 6th. You had lawyers who were supposed to be taking up for their clients, defending their clients, throw them under the bus because they wanted to strike back at Republicans. These are lawyers. See, Donald Trump cannot drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. because the part of the swamp that's the deepest and most deadliest is the people in Washington, D.C. That's part of the swamp. Who do you think elected those officials in D.C. to start saying they're going to reduce the time served for carjacking? That's what the people wanted in D.C. So many of us like to give the people in these cities a pass, saying they don't know, they don't understand what's going on. You better stop that. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what's going on. A lot of you like to give the black community don't know. The black community know exactly what's going on. Too many times sitting in churches, you hear black preachers saying they locking up our black men. They throwing our black men in jail. Hold up, they throwing drug dealers and gangbangers and people breaking into houses. How many times from the pulpits have we heard black preachers talking about, Jim Crow and segregation? This is 2023. That was 2022. This is 2021. And you still talking about racism and black men being locked up? I've always told you. The 1994 crime bill didn't lock up black men. It locked up thugs. It locked up hoodlums who just happened to be black. Let me say it again. The 1994 crime bill locked up hoodlums, thugs, drug dealers, gangbangers, rapists, assaulters, women beaters who just happened to be black. Why did the black community murder rate decrease significantly under the 1994 crime bill? Why did so many communities, so many black communities under the 1994 crime bill drop drastically? Because you were arresting the people who were the problem. And so many in the black community don't want to admit it. The 1994 crime bill did not go out and target just innocent people. Yes, if you knew this man was selling kilos of dope and you riding in the car with him, you got arrested with him. I have said this many a times. As a Republican, I have to admit the black community went to the Democrat Party and Bill Clinton and said, you got to do something about this shooting and this killing. You got to do something. We voted for you. Now you got to do something. Our children are sleeping in bathtubs. You had cities like Compton, California, Watts, all these cities, these major cities where these black boys were shooting like a storm. 1994 crime bill came and they started getting them off the streets and the community improved. Yes, there was some children that was upset their daddies got locked up. Yes, there was some children that was upset their mamas got locked up. But shouldn't it be about the greater good for the community? Shouldn't it be about the greater good for the community? What benefited the community? Nobody wanted to address that. What benefited the community? We sat here and we witnessed gunshots and drive-by shootings. Every movie that was coming out from the black community was about basically Boys in the Hood, New Jack City, all these movies talking about, think about it. New Jack City was about when a drug kingpin take over a project high-rise. And it was imaginable because New York at the time was so bad. Civil rights activists had been robbed in the community, shot in the community. But their kids and their grandkids who needed some civil rights struggle for themselves start saying everything is racist like it was in the 50s and the 60s. And I'm going to tell you the truth right now. I've talked to too many black folk who lived in the 50s and the 60s who said we were better off in the 50s and the 60s. They never asked for integration. They just wanted the money that was supposed to be equal. Separate, but equal. They wanted the equal part. They was getting the separate. They wanted the equal. But getting back to Tucker, I went on the highway I wasn't supposed to go. Y'all, I went down the highway I wasn't supposed to go. Y'all forgive me. Getting to Tucker Carlson, they are mad at him because he is showing them up. Now the Republican base is roaring again. You hear us. You hear us yelling. We're posting on Twitter now. Now, even Elon Musk said, you got to free all them. This is a shame. See, now, if you are conservative and Republican, don't try to get your old page. Don't try to get your old. If you lost your old page 2-3 years ago from Twitter, don't try to get your old page. Get a new one. Get a new one. Start new. Get a new one. Now Republicans are sounding off. Republicans are going to Twitter and Rumble, being loud. They're so mad that what people saw on January the 6th, because remember, Tucker Carlson is a threat. Tucker Carlson is a threat. Let me get to this part so she can say it one more time. See, if you was on Rumble last night, y'all see that, y'all remember this video. But this is what they're all having to admit. Whoa, I'm ghosting. Dad, why am I ghosting? Okay, there we go. Hold up, something wrong. The heck? Oh God, what is going on? I got craziness going on.
That Tucker would then cherry pick the parts that look peaceful and that look calm.
But why did
he
didn't even do that?
Well, I think he must have committed to it to get votes for the speakership.
He said he had to give it to Tucker Carlson to become the Speaker of the House.
Because he made a deal. Two quick things I do want to mention. Sonny mentions a good point. So I was with Harry Dunn this week, and he mentioned you guys were friends as well, and Officer Michael Fanone. Yeah. Michael Fanone left the Metropolitan Police because he was so disenchanted.
He's suffering.
He has bruises to bear from the attack that day. He feels like he's been abandoned, especially by the Republican Party, my party, who always say, #back the blue. Well, you didn't back him after January 6th.
No.
But one thing I want to note, this seemed really flagrant yesterday of Tucker Carlson in light of the Dominion lawsuit.
Yep.
It signals to me he knows he's untouchable at Fox. He's the most watched man on cable news, the most watched man at Fox News.
You see that? See, Tucker Carlson is the most watched man on cable news. Those are his enemies, plus those of us who like him. And they can't deal with it. They cannot deal with this happening. They can't deal with this. Let me go back so she can say it again.
Dominion lawsuit. Yep. It signals to me he knows he's untouchable at Fox. He's the most watched man on cable news, the most watched man at Fox News. Dominion lawsuit. Yep. It signals to me he knows he's untouchable at Fox. He's the most watched man on cable news, the most watched man at Fox News. And to quote Rupert Murdoch in these deposition filings that have come out, he said, "It's not red or blue, it's about the green."
Well, Fox News is a business. But see, that's the one thing they can't hide. That's the one thing they can't deal with. Tucker Carlson numbers cannot be hidden. He is the most watched person. And for those Republicans who say, well, I don't even watch him, remember those Republicans who said they don't listen to Rush Limbaugh? Remember when Barack Obama said you got to stop listening to Rush Limbaugh? How many of y'all, do any of y'all remember the 2008 election? Do any of y'all remember the 2008 election when Barack Obama came into office? Do you remember what he said about Rush Limbaugh? You remember that? You remember that he said, remember, Barack Obama said, Republicans, in order to get things done, you got to stop listening to Rush Limbaugh. See, the Republican Democrat Party celebrated Republicans and Democrats and some Republicans celebrated the death of Rush Limbaugh. They celebrated it. Truth be told, my sorry senator, Tom Tillis would have got raked over the coals if Rush Limbaugh would have been alive today. But Tucker Carlson did it for him. See, here in North Carolina, If you listen to the KCO Day morning show in the morning, they call Tom Tillis Slender Man. Because Tom Tillis stabbed us in the back. Tom Tillis used to be the Speaker of the House here in North Carolina. Let me tell you about some things that Tom Tillis did, one of the people who criticized Tucker Carlson. I voted for Tom Tillis twice. I will never vote for him again. I will not vote for Tom Tillis ever again. When he was Speaker of the House, Tom Tillis pushed voter ID. When he was Speaker of the House, Tom Tillis pushed Amendment 1, which blocked gay marriage. Tom Tillis was one of the conservative Republicans. But when Tillis went to Washington, his true nature came out. See, I think Tom Tillis was from either Johnston County or he's from I forget what county Tom Tillis is from, but he was Speaker of the House here in North Carolina. And he was one of the conservatives strong. But when he went to Washington, oh, Mr. Tillis showed his true colors. Now, like I said, I'm going to let Tucker play a little bit of what he's saying.
Liars are fragile because over time, lying makes you weak and afraid. It has the same effect on countries, by the way. We're living through one of those clarifying moments, which actually we're thankful for, where we're learning exactly who the liars are. On Monday, we showed you unreleased videotape from January 6th. That tape proved that 3 of the most important claims our leaders have made about that day were untrue. Their claims were lies. We were not shocked to discover that. We knew there was a reason that congressional leaders had been hiding the tape and that reporters in Washington weren't demanding to see it. They were lying to us, obviously. That's why you hide things. But what was actually surprising, what we can't quite get over even now, is how they responded when they were caught lying. They didn't seem embarrassed. They didn't apologize. They weren't even curious to learn more about what actually happened on January 6th. Let's see the tape. No, they didn't want to see it. They exploded in rage. And then, as liars tend to do, they doubled down. They told the same lies they've been caught telling, but with even greater aggression this time. "Shut up, it's midnight," they said as the sun rose behind them. Who acts like that? Well, sociopaths do. And in this case, the sociopaths turned out to be both Democrats and Republicans. The commitment to lying in Washington is far deeper and more bipartisan even than we realize when we follow this stuff for a living. Now, you sometimes hear people say that the whole partisan system is an illusion, and that underneath the manufactured debates, the leaders on both sides are in fact secretly united in a common love of money and power, and the deception required to get them. And honestly, we could never really bring ourselves to believe that. It's just too dark. But now we do believe it because we have seen it. Consider the death of police officer Brian Sicknick. Now, we still don't know exactly how Officer Sicknick died. We're not certain that anyone does know. No one has explained it. But after reviewing the previously withheld video evidence, we can tell you with certainty that Officer Sicknick was not beaten to death by Trump voters at the Capitol.
Now, that is a key point. You hear them say, oh, Republicans claim to back the blue, but you killed police officers. No police officer died on January the 6th. The only person who died January the 6th was Ashley Bobbitt. She was shot through the door by a Capitol Hill policeman. She was shot through the door like it was nothing. What that symbolized and how nobody said a word, I want you to know that symbolized to people, that we were expendable. Republicans meant nothing. When nobody demanded accountability for just shooting through the door at Ashley Babbitt, the message was clear. Nobody cares about Republicans. Do what you want. That's why you had the FBI investigating parents. That's why you start seeing law enforcement throwing parents down to the floor for voicing their outrage. And for some of us, we stopped the back to blue. Whoa. We clarified what was back to blue. Back to blue means local sheriff department and local police department. Back to blue means your state trooper. Back to blue is not FBI. Back to blue is not DOJ. FBI is not Capitol Hill Police. But before I go any further, I got to thank Miss Minnie McCormick. Miss Minnie McCormick, thank you for your kindness and generosity and your donation to the page through PayPal. And I want to thank Mr. Matt McPherson. Matt McPherson. Well, he says, keep speaking truth to power, buddy. Well, thank you, Matt McPherson, for dropping your boy on Cash App. Thank you for hitting your boy up on Cash App. And I want to thank you, Miss Minnie McCormick, for hitting your boy up on PayPal. But the narrative was, it's open season on Republicans. Nobody even blinked an eye. You had Democrats coming out saying it's okay to shoot. All of them should have been shot. All of them should have been shot. But they still cry when the police have to shoot people because they brandish firearms or somebody tried to hurt a police officer. Notice when Democrats run into the Capitol buildings, they're not shot and they're not treated that way. Literally, you had people do that in Oklahoma. You just literally had people last month run into the Oklahoma City building, Capitol building, take over the Oklahoma City Capitol building. Nothing was done. They are terrified Republicans are going to pay them back. Democrats have been violent with Republicans and property and cities and states for over 20 some years. It scares them for Republicans to want get back. For Republicans to say we've had enough. That's what terrified them about January the 6th. It won't the mob. It won't that we came to Washington, D.C. It was the fact we were fed up and we showed it. Some people, yes, they knocked down doors and bust windows, but they were pissed. And nothing won't stopping them. That terrifies those in power. Because remember, the Second Amendment ain't for hunting turkeys. Okay, yeah, it's for hunting jive turkeys. The Second Amendment is for hunting jive turkeys. That's what the Second Amendment is for. It's for hunting jive turkeys. And January the 6th, it was turkey season.
The tape shows very clearly Brian Sicknick walking through the building in apparent health after the media told us for 2 years that he had been murdered. So they were wrong about that. Okay, they got caught. Here's the interesting thing, they won't admit it. Liz Cheney's tweet is still on Twitter tonight. Officer Sicknick was killed defending our Capitol from the violent mob on January 6th. No correction. Anderson Cooper of CNN still has not apologized. Quote, Officer Brian Sicknick died after being hit in the head with a fire extinguisher during the fight, he told us. Those are lies. So why not just admit it and move on? But they won't. In fact, this week, the White House trotted out both the press secretary and Joe Biden's attorney general, the attorney general of the United States, to claim not just that Brian Sicknick was actually murdered by Republicans at the Capitol, but that other officers were murdered too. It's almost beyond belief. Watch this.
The rage of bipartisan lawmakers, you heard them all yesterday, you guys reported on it, who have condemned this false depiction of the unprecedented violent attack on our Constitution and the rule of law, which cost police officers their lives.
It was a violent attack on a fundamental tenet of American democracy, that power is peacefully transferred from one administration to another. Over 100 officers were assaulted on that day. 5 officers died.
What do you call January the 21st, 2017, though? Everybody keeps saying that was a threat to the peaceful transfer of power. Well, what do you call what Barack Obama, Joe Biden did to Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton from 2017 to 2021? What do you call that? What do you call? What do you call Russia collusion? Threatening Brett Kavanaugh, saying he was a Manchurian agent, P-tapes. What do you call what Democrats did to President Trump when he won election? James Comey and the FBI going after General Flynn. Was that a peaceful transfer of power? Let's ask that question. You know what? I'm going to take a poll real quick. I'm going to do a poll real quick on I'm gonna do a poll, and this poll is on YouTube, Mind of Jamal, Black Southerner. Did we have a peaceful transfer of power of power 2017? So I'm gonna ask y'all, did we have a peaceful transfer of power in 2017? Did we have one? So what are we measuring a peaceful transfer of power? Did we have a peaceful transfer of power in 2017? Some people are saying yes. Some people are actually saying yes, we had a peaceful transfer of power. I don't know how y'all got that when they sat here and they arrested and they did everything they could to undermine Donald Trump. But y'all, I guess, but that's what the poll is for. It's for you guys to interact. Do you believe we had a peaceful transfer of power? No, I do not. 5 officers died on that day. Now, that's just not some guy on Twitter. That's the Attorney General of the United States. That's a man whose honesty is central to his job. If you had a choice between IQ and integrity in an Attorney General, of course you would go with integrity because it's essential. But Joe Biden's Attorney General, Merrick Garland, is a liar. He just lied about something that is provably false. Who are these 5 officers who were, quote, killed that day? Notice he didn't tell you. No one ever tells you. No one ever shows you their autopsies. They don't want any detail. They just want the slogan. Now, they're counting Brian Sicknick. That's a lie. But who are the other 4? Well, those are 4 officers who killed themselves
after January 6th, in some cases long after January 6th. But their suicides, we know for a fact, were the result of the Republican mob at the Capitol. It's just false. And it's not some esoteric fact. That fact is available to anyone who has internet access. No police officers died that day on January 6th. None. Not one. Some were assaulted, that is true, and their assaults are indefensible. So how many were assaulted? Well, Garland said over 100. The Government Accountability Office says the number is 114, and we're just going to roll with that. We don't know if it's true, but we'll take it at face value. And that is bad. We are opposed to assaulting police officers in any context. We said that on January 6, 2021. We'll say it again. We're against that. But is January 6 the worst assault on the U.S. government since the Civil War? That's insane. It's not even close. How about March of 1954, when Puerto Rican separatists shot 5 congressmen in the Capitol building? 5 members of Congress shot in the building. It's all bad, but the worst since the Civil War. You're just a flat-out liar if you're saying that. More recently, this is an event we all remember, Antifa descended on Washington, D.C. to force the sitting president from office. But it was Trump, so that's cool. And while they were there, they set a historic Christian church on fire, St. John's in Lafayette Square. Do you remember that? You should, because it happened Labor Day weekend less than 3 years ago. And when it happened, the left-wing mayor of Washington, D.C. refused to allow her police department, the MPD, to assist Secret Service agents while they were under siege and getting beaten. No, she made her cops stand back and watch it happen. And they were very upset about it at the time. You may have forgotten that. Here's what it looked like.
I believe there are several fires raging now down this street, and this is what you hate to see. There are people throwing fireworks and who knows what else. And that crane is just fully engulfed.
Hit the subscribe button now. Hit the subscribe. Move.
It's bad. They just set fire to St. John's Church.
Is burning a church across from the White House. Those are the George Floyd riots. So what was the toll there? Now, we're not going to guess. We're going to go again right to the government. According to a recently released GAO report last month, during those attacks, the 2020 attack on the White House by left-wing mobs, who were quoting, Federal Protective Services, the Secret Service, and the Park Police reported that at least 180 officers were injured during the demonstrations, including concussions, lacerations, exposure to chemical gas, and severe burning. So, while stipulating that all riots are bad, because recently, this is an event we all remember, Antifa and getting beaten. No, she made her cops stand back and watch it happen, and they were very upset about it at the time. You may have forgotten that. Here's what it looked like.
I believe there are several fires raging now down this street, and this is what you hate to see. There are people throwing fireworks and who knows what else. And that crane is just fully engulfed. They just set fire to St. John's Church.
But they say that was mostly peaceful. They got no problem calling this protesting. But they hate to hear Tucker Carlson refer to those who was at January 6th as peaceful protesters. Oh, I want to thank Miss Pamela Thomas. Thank you for hitting your boy up. Miss Pamela Thomas, thank you for hitting your boy up on Cash App. Thank you for the kindness and generosity. Thank you, Miss Pam.
Very good, man. Come on. Come on, man. I gotta do this, man.
Is burning a church across from the White House. Those are the George Floyd riots. So what was the toll there? Now, we're not going to guess. We're going to go again right to the government. According to a recently released GAO report last month, during those attacks, the 2020 attack on the White House by left-wing mobs, who were quoting, Federal Protective Services, the Secret Service, and the Park Police reported that at least 180 officers were injured during the demonstrations, including concussions, lacerations, exposure to chemical gas, and severe burning. So, while stipulating that all riots are bad, because precision matters, facts matter, the truth matters, here's the truth. More cops were injured by Kamala Harris's favorite mob, BLM, at the White House than were injured by Trump voters at the Capitol on January 6th. A lot more. So again, to be clear, both events are bad, but here's the key. We only remember one of them. Why? Because the people in charge of history are liars. Liars. And lying is bad. And on a national scale, it's deadly. It's corrosive of everything that is good in the country, including trust and your grasp on reality itself. And that's why they try to make you lie. Men can become women. Climate change is an existential threat, or whatever the lie is they're making you tell. They don't believe it. They know you don't believe it. But by forcing you to repeat it, they degrade and control you. They make you less of a person. They also hurt individuals. We told you Monday about Navy veteran Jacob Chansley. He was tried by the media, convicted of being a domestic terrorist, and sentenced to 4 years in prison. What exactly was Jacob Chansley's crime? Well, no one was ever very precise about that. Here's what the media told you it was.
In his horned helmet, fur pelts, and face paint, Jacob Chansley became known as the QAnon shaman. But prosecutors called him the most prominent symbol of a violent insurrection.
He's been in jail since January, and he's trying to get out, but prosecutors say he is still too dangerous to release.
Make no mistake, Chansley is a stone-cold thug.
He kept saying, I'm not violent, I'm peaceful, I'm a shaman. But then you put those images, what you were just talking about, you put those images together, and that isn't an image of, of peace. This is the new face of extremism.
Remains behind bars. It's the new face of extremism. Jacob Chansley is the new face of extremism. He's a stone-cold thug. Prosecutors say he is too dangerous to release. And most people believe that because why wouldn't they? They were told it, and there was no evidence to the contrary. And now there is evidence to the contrary. We brought it to you Monday. The video that we reviewed at great length over 3 weeks showed with precision what Jacob Chansley actually did inside the Capitol. And here's what it looks like once again. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him. Told Jacob Chansley to get out. The head of the Capitol Police today said he was trying to calm the situation. It was already calm. He was the only protester in the frame.
You see what I mean? Hey, Jose Marquez, what's going on? Yes, Oster Freeman, Whoopi should be the first to go. Mind of Jamal Live. I'm going to go on and shut this one down. Please, if you can, go over to Mind of Jamal Black Southerner or Rumble. Mind of Jamal Live. Please go to Mind of Jamal Black Southerner or Rumble.